Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us for this week's How I Shot It. Today, I get to talk to Dave Shay. Hey Dave, thanks so much for joining me today.
Absolutely, man. It's so wonderful to be back. Good to talk to you again.
I was just going to mention, we've had you on here before, and I'm stoked to have you again because your photos are absolutely phenomenal, and every single time we have you on, I learn something from them. For those who would like to go back and actually check out Dave's first video, which you absolutely 100% should, be sure to go check it out. I will tag it somewhere in one of these corners or in the caption or exactly somewhere around here. But Dave, thank you so much for joining. I got a brief preview of some of the photos we're going to talk about, and I'm really stoked because I think these are simple things that people can pick up. I mean, immediately. It's not like there's anything complex about these lighting setups, but it's something that people can be inspired by and learn immediately that they can apply to their next shoot, maybe even this weekend if they plan on going out. So thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's one of my favorite things about MagMod in general is just how easy stuff has been and transitioning lighting into this not terrifying idea like, oh, off-camera flash is so scary. And how much MagMod has made stuff so much easier where like most of the stuff that I'm showing today is just moments. And though you don't get to set up and prepare for those, you just ready and go. And so it's cool to just kind of simplify things a little bit.
That's so true. You know, as a wedding photographer, a lot of times you don't have a whole lot of time to do much. I mean, it's like you said, it's just quick moments, seconds, and you got to be ready. So I love that. In fact, I believe all these photos are from weddings, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yeah. So I do a little bit of stuff other than weddings, but I'm not really great at it. So I mostly try to stay in my lane. And so weddings are really what I'm really passionate about. So that's what I really enjoy photographing
awesome.
more than anything else.
You're great at it. So before we jump in real quickly, I just want to make sure everyone knows where to find you. So it's daveshay.com is your website. Yep. And your Instagram is at daveshay.
Yep, that's it.
Fantastic. We'll be sure to link it down here and so people can go check that out. So, and I got to say one more thing. You got this incredible mic and you sound absolutely, you got this like radio voice. So I feel like I got to bring mine in even closer. And then we could just kind of do like a deep voice.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, now we're talking.
Get nice and close. I can't reach the effects switch from where I'm sitting now. Otherwise, I'd have some fun with it.
No, awesome. All right, well, Dave, let's jump into this. So the very first image, tell us about this beautiful shot. And I loved the behind the scenes as well. But tell us a little bit about the shot, what you're thinking, kind of how you set it up.
Yeah, so a lot of the times we get in our heads, and so a lot of my couples will reach out and they've seen a lot of my nighttime work. So I've gotten to the point where a lot of my couples have seen on my website or throughout different channels, like, hey, you do a lot of stuff in low light, and so that's a lot of the reason I get hired a lot of the time. But a lot of the time that translates into, we have to go outside during our reception or we have to go outside to take nighttime pictures. And I really don't like taking too much of my couple's time. And so this particular couple had already given me like 2 hours between ceremony and reception for portraits, which is crazy amount of time. And that's time they could be spending with their family, their friends, their guests, like so many other people. And so the fact that they're giving it to us and asking us to create something is incredibly valuable. And so when they're during the reception, they're like, hey, we want to go take a nighttime picture. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't want you guys like, let's not go like traipsing around town. Like, let's do something around here. And so as I was like looking around, I saw this spot on the dance floor, and you can actually see in the behind the scenes shot. Mm-hmm. Exactly where we're standing for that picture. I wanted them to just literally come right to the edge of the dance floor, take a picture, and then go right back onto the dance floor. So I didn't want them to even miss a song. And so it was kind of cool to have everything set up. And so I just kind of like got my lights set up in the corner, moved over a little bit. I was like, all right, guys, come here. And I was like, all right, snuggle up, get real close. And then like when they like each other, it's easy because like you just tell them to get close and they just kind of like start doing their thing. But yeah, so like I pulled them off the dance floor. They took a picture and they went right back on the dance floor. They didn't even miss like a verse to a chorus of this song. And this is cool too because like this was a little bit of a trickier shot because I did the multiple exposure and I did it on the Nikon system, which is not a fun experience all the time. So I'm still on a D4S, so like I had to like take a few practice shots with my double exposure, be like, all right, this is what I'm going for.
Gotcha.
And that's just the bokeh in the top left, or bokeh. We're gonna get into all sorts of critiques on that.
We got to bring the mic really close. Bokeh.
Feel free to cut that out before we get somebody critiquing me. But that's just really for that foreground element that I just wanted to kind of add a little bit of depth to the image, just one more layer in. You could have done it without the double exposure. easily just as good of a shot. And this is a pretty simple shot. In terms of lighting wise, I've got one backlight, one front light. The orange gel in the background, you can see it lighting up her hair right there and some of the back of his head. That's super important if you've got like dark hair specifically. If you've got dark hair and you're shooting against a dark background, well, it doesn't really matter if you have dark hair. If your subject has dark hair, you want to make sure you give them a little bit of separation, and it just otherwise that you lose them, and then they just disappear. Where you want that really distinct separation there. And I made that mistake early, where I would shoot with just the front flash, and that was all I worried about. And so now I think about that back flash a lot more, and it really does give a little bit more of a layer to it. Like even just popping him out from the background just a little bit. In addition to that, then I've got and that's just got an orange gel in it. The reason for the orange, I liked orange and it seemed to match the venue. Gels, I kind of just pick emotionally. I just like, blue sounds great. Play around and just kind of mess around with them. But then the front light is just a gridded sphere, and that's real close to them. So it's just out of the frame. I didn't have this awesome new mag box at that time. Otherwise, I would be using that just because of that beautiful quality light. And so I got that sphere real close to them. And the sphere does great for a grab and go situation like this, where I'm not looking to set up something fancy. I just want to get a shot and get them back on the dance floor.
I love it. You know, it's funny, Dave. I can't remember. I don't know the exact account. I've never actually gone back and counted every single wedding I've shot, but it's somewhere in the 350 range.
Yeah.
And every single time I think about going to do night shots, I think that I have to take the couple off the dance floor. And a lot of times I'm afraid to take them off the dance floor, because the moment you take the couple away, it seems like the dance floor kind of dies down a little bit, because people are looking for, the celebrities of the wedding, basically, right? And so I'm always afraid of that. And sometimes I'll take them out to the quick hallway or something like that. And granted, I've done shots on the dance floor, but I've never thought about just doing their couple shots right there. And it would be so easy to set it up. You could even grab whatever couple nearby, set up your light, have it all ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
Know your background, pre-visualize the double exposure, whatever you're going to do. And then, like you said, just grab them and say, hey, boom, got it. Now we got our night shot. And those are great shots to end an album or close out an album, especially if you're not going to be there for the entire wedding. Have some kind of nice, cool shot on the dance floor like that. So, dude, like I said, I learn every single time I do these, I learn something. And I don't know why I didn't figure that out after 350 plus weddings, but thank you. That's amazing.
Yeah. So you get like two different things here. I mean, first off, if you're doing a setup shot like that, find an engaged couple on the dance floor at one point and be like, hey, I need to practice something. You want to come hang out with me for a second?
Totally.
Get a little bit of extra business. But like, really, as you go throughout the day, one of the best things about the MagMod system is the speed and the efficiency it gives you, because like, remember, it's their day. It's not your photo shoot. Matt and Tara Thielen of Thielen Adventure Photography told me that about 2 years ago now. They gave a talk and they said, it's their wedding day, not your photo shoot. And that stuck with me so hard. And so like with stuff like this, like we have to, if they want to go outside and we want to do that stuff, awesome. But if you can think about like, you know what, we already did all this stuff. Let's see how I can prioritize the two of them and then keep that dance floor rolling. And the best part is like part of the expressions that they've got going on right now is because like they're taking pictures off over here and they're like just about to make out. All their guests have been drinking for like 3 hours and they're having fun and they're making noises at them. They're doing whatever. So they're going to be cracking up the whole time. So you're not even going to have to work with like emotion or anything like that. They're just going to be laughing and having a good time. You don't have to worry about that like expression part of things. Whereas if you're outside by yourself, maybe you'll get something, maybe you won't. So it's cool to kind of be inside with their guests and everyone just screaming and doing whatever.
Dude, this is how I shot. It's already been so valuable. Everything from here forward is just a little bonus content.
That's so, keeping it real.
So speaking of going forward, let's check out this next shot that you have. It's the bride and the firemen on the dance floor. Tell us about this photograph.
Yeah, so this groom had been hilarious. I shot their engagement session, and he'd just always been kind of funny and going back and forth. And he kind of kept on hinting that he was going to do something crazy throughout the wedding. But she's a teacher, and so she'd get this like teacher look in her eye and be like, "No, you're not. Like, you're not doing anything." And I'm like, "No, he's afraid of her. It's not going to happen. Like, nothing's going to wind up happening because of it." And so we're about to do the garter. I'm set up. The DJ starts to get it, and all of a sudden he just walks out in a fireman's suit. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm on the other side of the dance floor. Like I'm set up for like my normal shot, my safe shot, sure. But like, I'm like, oh man, this would be fun to do something with. And so I look in my bag, there's a red gel sitting on top. I grab it, I throw it on top of my grid. I literally or on top of my flash, and I literally just slide it across the dance floor and hope. I'm like, maybe it'll land in the right position. And so I slide it behind them. It gets there. Some guest is like looking at me like, "What did you just throw something at me?" Like, and so I get that set, and then I look at them. I've got an assistant. So I've got my assistant following with my main light, and he's over on the right hand side. The light facing right towards the bride right here. I can't point because so the light looking right towards the bride, and so I've got that set up. And then the nice thing about this specifically, that if you look at it, is you can see that I hid the actual flash right behind the interaction, so right behind the chair and his arm as he's like reaching there, and got, I guess, kind of his face situation. So because and this is something I've learned from master photographers everywhere, is that light, if you're shooting with gels, you've got to be, if you're shooting backlight in general, you've got to be very careful that light directly doesn't hit your lens. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll shoot with a grid, or actually most times I'm using a gel, I'll have a grid on there as well. So this is one of those, just position wise, I've got that gel, and I try to keep my main gels in the actual gel holders, which is something I didn't do early on, because you guys have this like sweet gel holder that I have like 4 of now because I've got so many gels. But so I used to keep them all in that gel holder, and I would like have to like take them out, go searching through. But like having them, I just keep them now in the actual gel holder and just pop it out, throw it right on the flash. And it's so nice to just be like, all right, there's my red one, blue one, whatever it is, and just grab those for moments like this where I wasn't expecting something, I wasn't ready for it in any way. And I think the red just adds a nice touch to it. And so it's just one of those like, hey, I mean, I think the emotion defines the shot, but I think the color really complements it.
It absolutely does. I think it makes the shot. I mean, I the emotion, absolutely, you're right. It like that's obviously what you look at when you see the photograph. But as a photographer, when we look at images, we're like, what really made this shot? And to me, it's the color, it's the red. It's obviously red is the color of fire trucks and firemen, and you know, all that kind of stuff. So I think it just works perfectly. You know, I want to mention, you talked about having those gels ready with, you know, colors in them, things like that. I do the same thing, and I typically, what I'll do is I'll plan it kind of ahead of time, knowing what I'm going to shoot. A lot of times I'll have a CTO gel, CTB gel, and then maybe I'll pick a color or two, and I'll have them already pre-staged, essentially, in my bag, you know, the gel inside there. There's a great book, in fact, 2 books that I read recently. Both of them talk about the exact same thing. It's Willpower Doesn't Work and Atomic Habits. Both books, they both talk about implementation intentions, which is essentially where you say, you know, on this day, at this time, I am going to do this. And that's how I see when you have a gel ready with a color. Now, granted, in your situation, it was just like, whoa, red, let's go, you know. But when you're going on an engagement shoot or a wedding shoot, if people can think ahead of time and they say, you know what, I know lavender is one of their colors for their wedding. I'm going to put a lavender gel in this, you know, gel holder, and I'm going to have it ready because, you know, on their wedding day, at 6:10, you know, 20 minutes after sunset or whatever, I'm going to use a lavender gel to add a little rim light or a little light behind them, and have that implementation intention ready so that you actually do that things. Pre-stage it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I love that.
Yeah, and I mean, like going into stuff, and there's the awesome video. I hope I can also command magic of linking of your incredible video about just kind of going in with a plan, or just having like the story and I'm not even going to attempt to pick a keyword from the story.
Are you talking about the 17 recipes? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, your 17 recipes. So like, I still like, I'll be walking around an engagement shoot and I'll be like, oh, what do I do here? And I'll have like some weird thing pop up in my head. I'm
Ninja.
Like, it's like Trevor's with me all the time.
That's funny, man.
And but like going in with a plan and going in to be ready, I think that's what specifically the gels and all that stuff. Like I didn't use gels at all before this. Like I had those plastic sheets and I like tape them onto my flash and do all this. Like I'm not doing that. Like it's just ridiculous. It's absurd.
I'm actually pointing to my closet. I still have them. I don't know why.
I can't get rid of them. No one will take them from me.
No, for me, I keep holding on to them. I think it's like I want to pass it down to my family and show them how difficult things were back when I grew up. You know, so.
That's how I am with the mag shoe, man. Every new assistant that works with me, I give them the Manfrotto thing first. Oh, I shouldn't do that. I give them my old, outdated light stand thing. And I make them like put the flash on, take it off, and then I give them the mag shoe. I'm like, see, look at how easy your job is now.
That's awesome.
You're way overpaid at this point.
Those mag shoes are nice. So, right on, man. Well, Dave, I love it. Again, there's so much good stuff coming out of this. This is fantastic. So, and when I say that, I mean like from a standpoint of myself. I learned so much from these talks. So, and now I know what to do to my assistants as well.
Yeah, because then they think they're getting paid even better because now their job is so much easier. Like it's just a win for everyone.
They got to know the bidder before they understand the suite, right?
Exactly. Like, look, I could make you do this all day long, but instead, look at this. Just it's amazing.
That's awesome. All right, so let's jump into the next image.
Yes.
So we got this.
Got
this image, and actually, this one we're going to talk a little bit about. You used the mag sphere, but I love. Again, we just kind of pre-chat about these photos beforehand, just so I get an idea. But you actually used a special little light. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I use Lytra LED, and these things are silly bright. I'm trying to think of mine is.
Let's see. I have one right here.
Yeah, let's see.
It's actually, I think it's on the lowest power.
Yeah, it's unreasonably bright. Like I can put it, it'll actually overpower my living room lights, which is crazy. And for an LED, it's super small, waterproof, impact proof, and photographer proof generally, which is kind of its own classification, I think. Yeah. And I work with the videographers a lot. But I worked with this really awesome videographer out of Philly, and I was like, all right, let me see if I can make friends with this guy. And so it started to snow and everything. So I'm like, I don't know how long this snow is going to last. I don't know if he'll have time to do some stuff in the snow. So let me light it with an LED so that we can both work at the same time.
Love it.
And with the LED specifically, I didn't want like any harsh lighting. So I wanted to like just go up a little bit, but I also wanted to spread the light out because we got this snow's falling and it's incredible. And the bride is losing her mind that it's snowing. And so I'm like, all right, let me get this stuff together and really put something together for them. So like, let me as quickly as I can. So for the whole team. So I want to get something for the bride. I want to get something for myself, but I also want to get something for this video guy. And so I put a mag sphere behind it, and I've got this like little. This is not MagMod approved probably, but I had a very old. This might be one of the original mag grips, I don't think. But I had this mag grip that I took and I put on either side of a phone holder. So a cell phone holder.
You literally just cut it in half and took the magnets basically, right? And the silicone wrap?
Yeah. Yep. And so just put that here, and I put it on either side of this LED, and then I put like stuff like I'll use it with the beam a ton because I use a beam like this, and you've got these awesome patterns in the back of the beam, and so a lot of the times it's like tricky to see where they're going to be and stuff like that. Well, you pop this on the back of it, and you can see exactly where that pattern is going to fall and what it's going to look like, and so you can have a lot of fun with this stuff. But specifically in this shot, threw the sphere on there, had it balanced, and there was probably like 4 or 5 inches of room behind the couple between where they were standing and what was going on behind them, and then just set that light up, had it there. The videographer's doing his own thing, and I'm just waiting, and then I am like, hey, can you believe it's snowing? And she just like for a half a second gets this look in her eye and just looks right up at her husband and like click. And it's like, I have like 30, 40 other pictures, but like this is the one. Like you just get that. Yeah. And this isn't possible without like. The tools we have today is incredible. Like none of this stuff existed when I started out as a photographer. And Trevor's been shooting for like 40 years longer than me. So like, I don't even think they had
45 years
okay.
more. Yeah.
So like looking at some of the stuff that we have access to is just amazing of how quick we can make stuff that like this is one of my favorite pictures that I've ever taken. I think I just had these printed off and it's exciting.
I love it. So there's a couple things that I learned from that. One, I think it's valuable to be able to have like those LED lights to be able to work with videographers in a situation where you might not have very much time with the couple. I love it when I've gone out with videographers and they have a video light. I'll typically try to help them position it in a place that we can both work off of it as well in a very nice way. I'm not going to like tell them how to run their business, but I'll be like, oh, this might be kind of cool if we put it right here, and then we can both kind of shoot this, and then that way they don't see my flashes going off in their video, right? I will say I have one of these. I actually have a couple of these Lytra lights as well. I didn't actually tear apart my mag grip. I love how you did it, so you can just slide it in and out, and then also you have access to the buttons, I guess, that are on top here. I don't know if anyone can see that. There's like little buttons there. So I didn't actually do that. I just put my mag grip over the top of it. But I will say what's cool is the light stays in there really well. And what's fun is I've actually placed this inside the mag box. I have mine sitting in my car right now, but I actually will place it in the mag ring. I had 2 of these in a mag ring, and I photographed a couple where I basically used these as my light, and it was kind of fun to use the constant light. And then what's really cool is when you use the focus diffuser with it, you don't lose a lot of that light that you typically use, or lose through, when you have these inner baffles and soft fabric diffusers and things like that. So, and I'll tell you, if you really want to see how cool the focus diffuser is, One of my favorite tests that I ever did was I put this in a mag ring. Were you there? You were there in New York.
Yep. I was there for that. It's
totally,
so cool.
It's funny because I saw a twinkle in your eye, and I'm like, wait a second, you were there. That was so cool when we were like playing with it. And not only was the exposure like the same, but it was amazing seeing how well the focus diffuser diffused the light on their face, but the exposure stayed the same. It was like it blew my mind. And yeah, ever since then I became a believer in these things. So
and the crazy thing about LEDs too, so like when I first started out with photography, I avoided anything not natural light, and then I started to get interested in flash, but flash was so terrifying. Like it was so scary for me to get into, and there was all this new technical stuff I had to learn about high speed sync and all this new information I had to digest. And so I started out, before I did that, I just really focused on my natural light, and then I would just bring LEDs to places. And that's how I really learned to understand my positioning of lights and my quality of light and what my color of light's going to look like. Was a lot of it came through LEDs first. So if you're finding you struggle with off-camera flash or stuff like that, like don't hesitate to just hold a light. Like the one nice thing about the Mag box specifically, like throwing an LED in there, you can see the difference in the softness of an LED light through the softbox versus just bare. And you can start to notice the character that light has when you go into different environments. So it's really cool to see.
No, absolutely. And you know, one other cool thing is being able to put those quarter 20s right on the bottom.
I want all of them. I'm gonna steal. Like I'm gonna raid MagMod HQ and take. Like,
well, what's cool?
They're so nice.
What's cool is you could just put the quarter 20 on it and then just slide it in the mag shoe, and now all of a sudden you have a really simple rim light. You know, if you want to use the mag spheres, you know, mag beam. I didn't even think about the mag beam with the mag mask. That's ingenious. I can't wait to go try that on the next shoe.
The beam is awesome, but don't sleep on the snoot. Like the snoot is so difficult to use with flash sometimes if you're not familiar with how it works. Like sometimes the snoot am I right on, where am I aiming, all this stuff. Use an LED and it's the easiest thing in the world. You're just like, and done.
That's genius.
Especially because the LED, snoot, and the little new shoe, it's like the best thing in the world. Like aiming that thing takes nothing. That's fantastic. Genius.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. Those are great tips. Yeah. I didn't mean for this to turn into, it almost sounds like we're doing a light trick commercial right now, but truly this is I'm just like you. I've been enjoying using them. It takes a little bit of reset in the mind because I'm so used to using flashes. And granted, there's times where this isn't going to be enough power. You know, when the sun hasn't set yet, or if I'm really trying to push and get some to darken down my skies, for example. Like I'm not going to get enough power out of those, but they sure come in handy when the light has gone down. And so love it, man. Thank you so much for showing that photo. And like I said, you've opened my mind again to using the mag beam and stuff. I feel like this is a one-sided conversation. Like I'm learning a heck of a lot more out of it, which is
just because I like privately stalk you, and so everything I've learned, I've probably learned from you through one way or another. It's just mostly in the bushes far away from your house or whatever.
I thought I saw you out there. No.
Yeah.
Hey Dave, let's wrap this up with one last photograph. I know I've already taken more time than I promised I would take from you, but I would rather show people this last photograph. Is actually one that I saw you talk about at WPPI when you spoke at the MagMod booth. And I thought it was a cool story. So maybe you could just tell everyone a little bit about what's going on and how you set this photograph up.
Yeah, so at first glance, this looks like a portrait. So this looks like I took the couple outside at night, and we went out to take a post-portrait, and the fireworks were going off, and it was all planned. What actually wound up happening was a baseball stadium was down the road, and they won a home game that night. And they decided to throw off fireworks at the tail end of the wedding that I'm shooting right up the road from the place. And so they decided to light off fireworks. And all of a sudden, I see the bride and groom, instead of going into, I think like bouquet and garter or something was coming up next. Like, so my lights are set. Like I'm in position. I'm ready to go. Like I don't have like somebody with me right now. I'm like, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever happens next, as long as it happens right here.
Yeah.
And this couple just like bolts, and I watch them go. I listen, I hear the fireworks, and I'm like, oh my god, and I'm like panic. And I look up, and I've got like my lights are set up for reception, so there's not really much on. I think I had a sphere on one, and I think the other one was bare, and so I had them cross-lit. And so I look at the one that was closest to my camera bag. I like book it, grab that stand, drag it down. I grab one grid out of my bag and just full speed sprint outside. And the couple is just hanging it, like they're just standing there in the road, kind of by themselves. Like other people are starting to like trickle out, but they're just standing there in the road by themselves. I throw the grid on there. I put the light in front of them and I just go behind them and I just wait. I'm like, because there's sometimes as a photographer where it's so easy to interrupt them and it's so easy to like, you want to get this shot right. And so it's almost out of your own fear that you want to be like, I have to interject here. Like I have to say something to make sure that I get this right. And so I was like, I'm just going to set this up. I'm just going to shoot it. I'm just going to like photojournalism, not going to intervene, not going to say anything. So I put my light up on the other side of them, and then I just stood back and I just kind of hung down. The biggest technical difficulty is that it was pitch black. I didn't want to really involve them, and so I'm shooting in incredibly low light, and that's where I'm lucky to shoot with the cameras I shoot with, that they nail focus. But as I'm going through this, I'm just waiting for them to just engage with each other. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the big, like they start to get to like the finale of it, and I'm like, I've got something, like I should be fine, but like I'm starting to get like a little like maybe I should have said something, like how's this gonna go? And then they just turn and look at each other in this like I pose them perfectly fashion. Yeah. I click and the light bounces off of his chest and her dress kicks up so you can see their expressions, and it was just flawless. And I clicked it and I was like, oh my gosh. And it was just this like deep breath of like, we got it. Like everything's good to go. And shooting into that backlight, like if I had just brought that thing out bare, that flash out bare, and I wasn't able to throw a grid or something on there, I would have had so much kick coming into my lens that I would never have been able to focus and get the shot like I was able to. The grid being in front really made it safe for me to shoot directly at my flash, even though they were moving. Like I wasn't telling them to pose. Like they knew I was there because they saw the light firing, but they didn't know where I was or anything like that. I wasn't communicating with them. And so getting that set up was it was a 30-second process. I think we were maybe out there total for 90 seconds of the entire fireworks show. That's what you and I were talking. Like fireworks are always so stressful because like they're not going to last that long. Like apparently explosives are expensive or something. So like they don't do a bunch of them. And so they're going up and I'm like, oh man, how long until we run out of this? And to be able to just knock it out, get it out there. And then something like this to be able to come out with them was just so exciting for me.
What I found too is when you put that grid on the flash, it gives you a little bit more. You can go to the sides a little bit, and you don't have all that flash flaring into your lens. So it's like when you don't have a grid on it, it's all of a sudden that it doesn't matter even if you're to the side a little bit. It's like that flash just like lights up the inside of your lens, and it kind of destroys. Maybe it could look really cool for an effect, and in fact sometimes it makes it really. I mean, I have a few photos like that where I'm actually using that. But in something like this, you would lose all the contrast in the couple, and you wouldn't have, you could probably salvage something, but man, the grid makes it nice and compact light, and you can kind of, put it right behind those people. So I love that. Fantastic shot, man. And I totally agree with you on fireworks. Like it's nerve wracking. I do want one last question here. Yeah. It does look like you are kind of zoomed in. It doesn't look like this was shot with a wide angle. Do you remember, was this like a 50 millimeter, 85?
So this is an 85.
85? Okay.
90, I think actually every shot, no, I had one with a 58 in there. Most of my stuff is either 24 and 85. Gotcha. And so this is 85, which again is a little bit scary, but the compression, I really wanted to make that firework look as big as it felt in real life. Yeah. And same with the light. I wanted the light to look like it was just coming from the firework. I wanted it to feel supernatural to them, or supernatural, not supernatural. And I really just wanted it to feel just how it felt. So I wanted the image to kind of convey exactly that. And that's compressing it in really does make a big difference. And that's also a little bit of a risk too, like shooting straight into your flash with a longer lens. That flare is going to be a lot more noticeable. So I will almost always have grids on my flashes, if I can. Which if I'm not worried about spread, and don't think like one of the things that people are nervous about is the grid is like, oh, it's going to be like this much light. The grids, the best part is you stack them. So like if you need to reduce it, you can always reduce it, but it's not as narrow as I think people automatically think, just the one grid. And they're like, oh, I don't want to use a grid here. I'm like, you're not going to miss. Like you've still got a good frame
degrees,
as long as yeah, so like you still got some room. So don't stress out about using a grid in some situations, but practice, get the hang of it, and now use them all the time.
No, I agree with you. For the longest time, I didn't put grids on my flashes on the dance floor because I was afraid that I was going to basically narrow that light down too much. But in reality, it gives you nice control of light, but it doesn't, like you said, you're not like narrowed down to a beam of light. So it is nice and fantastic. So love it, man. Hey, I've kept you way longer than I should have. I promise you that, hey, Dave, it'll only take like 15 minutes, and I think we're already into about a half hour. So, but I didn't want to stop because there was so much good information coming from this. And like I said, I was already learning so much. I think I said in the first 10 minutes, like we had already covered everything we needed to cover. From that point on, it was just bonus material. So I hope everybody found this as valuable as I did, because I really, truly learned a lot out of this call. So thank you so much, Dave.
Dude, it's always such a pleasure learning from you myself, learning from all the other photographers in the MagMod community. It's just one of the most talented communities out there, and a group that I love every day, logging into, seeing the work and seeing what people are doing. So it's real cool to be a part.
I appreciate that, and I think the community is fantastic. I'll pay the compliment right back to you. I've learned so much from you, not just in photography, but also just in business management and how to like help run my business productively. For those who don't know, Dave helps out with a software called Tave, Tave, and it's been an amazing program to basically help photographers run their software. So I hope you don't mind me mentioning that, but I think
no, not at all.
It's well deserved, because I learned a lot from you, even just using that software. So.
I'm all about the same thing. Is I'm all about my couples and providing service to them. I'm also all about my family, and I can't provide my attention, my whole self to my family if I'm super stressed out about my business all the time. And so I'm all about systems and keeping things as simple as possible for everyone, for my couples. And it's all the same message in my head, is just simplify things and prioritize what matters to people.
That's rad. I don't think there's a better way to end. That's awesome. Dave, thank you so much. And again, I appreciate you being here. We could have gone probably another hour and a half if we wanted to. There's always so much valuable content I get from you. So appreciate it. Again, everyone go check out daveshay.com. I think your website, My Photographer Loves Tacos, links to you. Yes,
myphotographerlovestacos.com will also go directly to my website. So if you ever need a way to remember how to find me, be like, it's the weirdo that likes tacos. Oh no, he doesn't like tacos. He loves them.
Tacos. And then of course at Dave Shay, go check out Dave's work, you guys. He's amazing. Thank you, Dave. You rock, brother.
Thank you. I'll see you soon.
All right, man. Take care.